bit of a little mystical town. It's so sweet. And um, I remember talking to a woman there who said that there's 7 energy vortexes all around Ojai. And
Huh.
people move there because they think they're going to have like a more peaceful life,
Mm.
nature and the mountains and like this like mystical town. And they move there and their whole life reorganizes and it's like chaos. And
Yes, I've heard about that about people from Sedona too.
yes,
They're
yeah,
like, and I'm overloaded. I
yeah.
can't do this anymore.
So yeah, it was nice to be there.
Great.
Yeah.
Did I hear horseback riding too that you did?
Yes, we went horseback riding at sunset.
Is that
Um,
something you've done for a while? Like, or were these horses like super trained?
they're super trained.
Okay.
You have to have like some experience, but they're pretty super trained.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, I see some more people joined us. So 720 numbers here. Welcome. And I think somebody's popping off and popping on again.
Welcome.
Yeah. Um,
And you're going to Europe soon.
yes.
Yay.
Oh
When
my gosh, my bags. Well, okay, we first of all we had this we've been traveling a lot, so we abuse our luggage
yeah.
severely.
yeah.
And our luggage was starting to look really out of shape, and then we moved and thought we lost this like receipt we had from when we purchased the luggage. And on this receipt it has a warranty, and the warranty said 10 years, and then the date said it was 9 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So,
yeah.
so we sent it in. We spent like $150 to send this luggage in, and it's huge, because it's
Yeah.
luggage. And we're waiting, and Saturday we have these huge boxes waiting, and when we open them up, we have 4 new pieces of luggage, like brand
Wow.
new, better than what we had before.
Fresh
Like,
travels.
yeah, it was really great. So we're looking forward to putting stuff in that luggage.
yeah. Have fun.
Yeah, we're gonna be gone for a month, so it's gonna be a little bit of a tricky
Totally.
thing to plan for.
Yeah.
I think like the trick is, I think you're supposed to like just have a week's worth of clothes and then just keep cleaning them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
the
We'll
easy.
figure it out.
And then you'll buy stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I just unmuted myself and realized I was muted. So hi,
Hey,
Cheryl.
Shannon. Welcome.
My connection might be a little funky because I'm in Mexico. So
Viva Mexico.
nice.
yeah. So if I jump in and jump out, that's why.
Amazing.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us from Mexico. And then Carol's from New York. So we're 3 points on the globe here. I think we'll wait a couple more minutes to see if some more people join. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. 6:02.
Yeah.
My aunt's novella is really loud. I'm going to tell her to close the door in a second.
There we go. Kirsten, hi.
Hi,
Kirsten.
Carol.
So
It's been a while.
I know. I'm glad you got those glasses. That worked out. So are you going to be going to Perry in this time or
I am
later?
going to be visiting the annual Congress. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I know that you're renovating your house. Are those new pictures up, or just things I haven't seen?
Oh, yeah. They've been there a while.
Okay.
Or trying to look at the good things.
Yeah. I understand. Are you traveling this summer?
No, Nah, nothing planned. Oh, I might go to Madison, Wisconsin for a week, actually. Yeah.
See old friends over there?
Yeah, there's a Rosicrucian conclave also that I was would go for.
Excellent. And Shannon, you live in Mexico or you're visiting Mexico?
Right now I'm visiting. I'm here for 3 months and then I'm coming back in November. So
Oh, exciting.
my family's from here, so
Okay.
yeah.
Great. That's great that you get to go for so long and keep your life.
Yeah. I'm excited and happy that it worked out. So
Yeah.
Great.
Very happy for you.
thank you.
Well, I think that, what do you think? We should wait a couple more minutes or just get started, Elizabeth? What's your feeling?
I'm feeling we should start, and whoever jumps on can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to, I agree. Let's just, everyone just like take a deep breath. Let go of today. And, I just first want to honor that you've said yes to yourself. Like, yes, I'm worthy of working on myself, of asking myself maybe uncomfortable questions and getting to a place where you can really live in joy. So just really in that self-appreciation moment right here. And just check in with yourself with how you're feeling at the moment. And then how you want to feel. And I just setting the intention for this call that we help mindful women like you to really find true love and keep it in topic by topic. We'll uncover the hidden shadows, the little demons, and all the things that are keeping us back from really experiencing the love and joy that we know we can have, and that we can keep nurturing that once we find it too. So this is about law of attraction. It's also about understanding all your intelligences with your body, with your emotions, with your spirit, including your intuition. So let that be our trajectory for everything we do. Today's topic is about how to ask for what you really want in a relationship, minus the shame. And Elizabeth, you were pointing out to me earlier that, it's really easy to know what you want for your business or your career. You can just say it. You have total freedom. But then when you have the intensity and the high stakes of a relationship, it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I really can say this. And shame comes up. You shortcut yourself. You restrain. Like those, all these barriers that come up. So in the end, when you have these barriers and you decide to keep them, you end up unclear about what you want, and then your relationship starts to feel like you're holding back. Your partner can sense it even if he's not talking about it, and you're not speaking your full truth, so you're not feeling happy, and it just kind of spirals into this mess. And to get out of it, one, you need to have vision and clarity, which we're going to help you find, hopefully, by the end of this call. And two, you need to have courage to stand behind what you want. And so we're going to give you different ways to build up your courage and really be able to see transformation and change in you, because when you change, women are powerful. Women, like when you change inside, magic happens on the outside. I don't know why, but this is our gift. So trust your instrument, and let's go forward. How does it sound if you really were to ask for what you want without shame? How does that sound to you?
Great. I'm ready.
So I thought I would just, because like there's so much value, and we're going to talk about this later. I thought I would just share a really vulnerable part of my relationship history. And there was a part of my relationship where I had already met Anthony, and I knew he was the one for me. And I'll tell you the whole story about that later. But I had already met him, and his history was that he hadn't really dated women beforehand, and he came from a Catholic upbringing, and he had a lot of shame around sexuality, and so he felt the need to explore other relationships while in a relationship with me. And so, we got the book, The Ethical Slut, that one, and that book caused me hell. And and I realized for me, like, I was trying like very much to make this work with him and to be understanding of his personal growth, because every time I would channel and journal, my guides would say, just trust the process, give him space to grow, send him love, send him healing. And it was the most trying thing in my life. And through that, I knew that I had to ask myself a question, like, do I want to put myself through this kind of torture and have faith in it? Or do I want to move on? And so I asked myself, do I like the way I'm growing because of this? And the answer was yes, and this is why. I know that my triggers and my hurts in past relationships were mostly stemming from my mother's abandonment of me. So my mother left when I was 7 years old. I didn't hear from her for 25 years after that. And I was totally afraid of losing everyone in my life. So I would cling really tightly, and no one likes that. And I'd be so insecure, and I would like give myself up completely so that they wouldn't leave. Like, so right, if I'm the perfect moldable person for them, they're not going to leave, right? Instead, it made me a pushover. And so even though it was very difficult having an open relationship with him, I knew that it was helping me gain more confidence in myself, to state my needs more clearly, to really be more independent and self-interested, to really take care of myself and my women networks that I hadn't done before. So, moral of the story is you don't have to be in an open relationship to get there. But there's a lot to say about engaging with the parts that make you so shameful, because I'll tell you what, my friends tried to get me to come out of it. I didn't dare tell my family because, it just seemed so disrespectful, right? And I didn't want to be the one who was a pushover, being seen as a pushover. What ended up happening, I want to be clear, we're not in an open relationship anymore. We got married the day of. He's like, I know you don't like it. I don't need to do it anymore. I know you're the one for me. And that was it. So my intuition was correct. So let's just like break this down a little bit. I believe these are some of the fundamental things that are holding people back and still living in shame. And I definitely want to hear your feedback on this, because it's different for everyone. So I think the first thing that happens is that the shame comes after you have an unclear vision. So for example, I think everyone's been told at some point to make their checklist, and on their checklist they have the must-haves, and they have the would be nice, and they have the negotiables. And as a soul-centered person, this feels very rough to deal with, just because like you're like, okay, I'm talking about the soul here. I want a spiritual connection. How can I do all these qualities? And so you're thinking, okay, I'm being shallow if I do this list, or if I'm not open to growing and being like torn apart into shambles, then I'm gonna I'm a shallow person. I should be shameful because I'm supposed to be a spiritually high level person, and I'm just going to need to be unclear about my vision so that I can take on whatever happens to me and I'll deal with it, right? So I see some nodding heads. I think that's familiar to some people. A second challenge could be a belief that you're not good enough. Elizabeth, did you ever have that feeling of not being good enough?
All the time.
That's my number one too.
Yeah. Not good enough. And I find even before relationship, it's hard when you're dating, and then even during relationship. And what happens is that you end up compromising yourself. Self-immolation, their needs before my needs. I'm not that important. Let me cater to them. What do they want? And let me mold myself to give them what they want. And what happens is that you become over flexible, you become resentful. And I feel that when you start to build that resentment, you almost lose your voice. It's like you keep swallowing so much and you're like full, like, I'm gonna scream. And really it's sadness and anger over losing your own identity, because you're giving so much to them. It can cause a lot of harm to the relationship. You end up losing the relationship, or you could, I've been there, and end up in abusive relationships, whether it's emotionally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive, on a soul level abusive. You feel it.
Yeah. And for you, Elizabeth, in your experience, how did that play out when you felt like you're not good enough? Like would it be like everyday situations? Would it just be overarching? Would you have moments?
I feel that the not good enough plays out in spurts. It's like you get lost in the not good enough for a while, and then the body naturally cannot take it, and then it reacts in chaos, right? And you release, and you're good for a little bit. I'm gonna get myself back. I am good enough. I feel it. And then it happens again, chaos. It ends up in a bit of a roller coaster. That's the roller coaster. Yeah,
the roller coaster. And I feel like for me, like when I go in the not good enough train, which happens to time, it's like I start to become numb almost. It's like, I have to block off all my feelings because I need to mold myself to be somebody else's person or good enough so they won't leave me. Like, that's my whole thing. My other thing is, don't leave me, right? You need your love. But I feel like you start becoming numb, and then you just start to become uninteresting. Like, just everything is stale. So I feel the roller coaster too, but for me too, I feel like there's this staleness, like everything's not as interesting or jade. I'm in my head more, convincing myself of different things.
You lose your power.
Yeah. So for anyone on the call too, like what I offer to you is I think just if you hear yourself in anything that we're talking about, write it down, because these are like little constellations of grief in your body and in your energetic body that you could potentially release. So identify them, say, yes, that's me. You don't have to
writing
tell me that
everything
you're everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and this is the beauty about women too. Like we don't realize that we share so much in common, even the bad parts. So,
Yeah.
just a second.
Mhm.
Third challenge. Belief that I'm too much. So, this one is like when you have a really beautiful outfit and you never can find the right place to wear it. And then you finally put it on and you're walking up the event or to the party or to the house and you're like, oh my God, I'm overdressed, right? And you're like, oh, I'm too much again. Oh, and you're like shameful and you're sad. You're like, I just, like the part of you that wanted to be the queen and the beauty and the star is deflated. Like, 'cause, oh, I don't fit in. I'm too much. And in relationship, it's the same thing. Like, like you want to have emotional fullness. You want to feel with love so big and so powerful. And you want to have that connection where you can talk about everything. You can cry together. You can laugh together. Everything's full, 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 except all the other emotions are going to come with that whole basket at the same intensity if that's what you want. And then if you start to feel like you're too much in your emotions, for example, you start becoming quieter, you start censoring yourself. If you do this with your like, let's say you're very driven in your career, in your business, like, oh, I'm too much, I'm going to demasculate, and he can't accept me as who I am because I'm too driven, and he feels smaller because of that. He says I should relax. I'm too much, right? Or maybe you're too much because you're another athletic thing. Like instead of like mentally and career driven, you're like athletic and strong, and then you like nerds and they're not athletic and strong. Like, okay, I'm too much. I can't be strong and powerful. I should just stop working out or taking care of my body because I want him to support me. I want to feel supported by him. Fourth thing is, go ahead, Elizabeth. Yeah.
I just wanted to also address in the too muchness. Also, women as intuitives or showing our work or our rituals, right? Or how we process our the moon of the week, right? It's like, oh, this is too much. And then we kind of hide and we lose, like, oh, again, we tend to lose or dim our biggest gifts. That's so painful, right?
Yeah. And I think it's also crazy because our very gifts are the hardest ones to share.
Yeah.
Right? The best gifts are the hardest ones to share. And you're like, oh, I don't know. What if they don't like it? It's a little bit too much. And it's also like, I'm not doing it enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Fourth challenge, pretty obvious, the trauma of past relationships. This is like, this can be a whole entire topic of itself, but I think the one I'm interested in highlighting is, people complain about us. They say we should be more this or that. And then there's a part of us that believes it. And then we embody it too much instead of recognizing the parts that are true or the parts that were theirs and feeling like we can't improve upon it. So we all have our idiosyncrasies. Like my history is being very needy. So I had that boyfriend in college who broke up with me without giving me any reason. And I only figured it out like 5 years ago. And when I found a letter, I had written a letter to him when he was in Ireland. And I saw this letter come back. And it was like, I know that you really, whatever, it was like I was basically being needy. And I carried that trauma with me, feeling like all that unresolved issue wasn't, I still felt unresolved. I still felt like that love still needed a place to have. And that was a big sore spot for me to overcome. Are there any kinds of traumas, Elizabeth, that you can think of, or in your experience with working with people that you find that bring on shame?
Yeah. I think, I mean, women being unfaithful to men, women feeling shameful about not being able to trust men. It's almost like if they know that's in their bag, that they've had trust issues with men before, it's like something they can't even talk about because they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
someone they're dating that, hey, I have trust issues. What man wants to stay there and work with you on them? But there are men who do. Also, I think a lot of women have some shame around their age, meaning like,
Mm-hmm.
this is my age. This means I have this history of dating for this long. I have extra baggage instead of like I have extra gifts and wisdom to bring to the relationship. Or I'm 35 and kind of want to have a family or a baby. It's a constant silencing of the voice and neck issues.
Neck issues.
Yeah.
That reminds me too how I feel like there's a lot of shame about past relationships not even working out. Like, oh, there's something wrong with me because I'm not married or committed by a certain age, and this age is like so different for everyone. Like I met I met a couple, God bless them, yesterday, who were like, yeah, I'm 25 and I think I'm gonna get married late. I'm really worried.
Right.
I was like, I wasn't even ready to think about that at 25, but it's just interesting,
right.
that trauma, the trauma of it not working out, being a point of shame in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So the last of probably the many sources of shame about asking for what you want, I think, is what I call the girlfriend syndrome. So your girlfriends are there to support you no matter what. And sometimes they give misguided advice. They're just trying to lift you up.
Especially the intuitive girlfriends.
And especially the intuitive girlfriends.
Yeah.
You don't deserve that. Spirit says.
Someone else in your field. He's right there.
Yeah. And it becomes gossipy. And it stretches the truth, and then you're starting to stretch the truth because you don't want to be ashamed of, like, okay, I kind of messed up on this one, and it just makes you more secretive and shameful. Like, okay, well, they know best. I'm in a vulnerable place. I should just listen to them. And yes, girlfriends are really important, but sometimes they don't give the best advice, and they put the blame on him completely so you feel better because they're trying to make you feel better, right? Anyway, wouldn't it be great to ask for what you want without the shame? Let's look at some of the solutions Elizabeth and I came up with. Well, okay, first let's just take a little break here. So which of these challenges, we have unclear vision, belief of not good enough, belief of I'm too much, the traumas of past relationships, and the girlfriend syndrome, which of these challenges feels the strongest for you right now?
Not good enough.
What was that, Carol?
Oh, actually, maybe the unclear vision.
Interesting. Okay.
It goes weaves in and out of not good enough for the top position, but at this moment, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's bookmark that. Anyone else who wants to share what they are feeling the strongest knot? That.
I think for me, it's the belief that I'm not good enough but that's just because it's the biggest one. It's like the biggest subconscious belief system I have in all aspects of life. So not just relationships, so it seeps in kind of everywhere. So I feel like out of all of these, I'm going to go with that one just because I feel like that's just like the struggle for this incarnation. It's just like since I was a child. So that's been something I've been working with for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. So I want you both to just take all of you, whoever's here on the call, to just take a moment to briefly write out what happens as a result of having an unclear vision or feeling like you're not good enough. What is the result of that? Since we're talking about relationships, let's say relationship. And while you're doing this, if anything pops out as something you have control over, just circle it. Okay, and I'll let you both continue that a little bit on your own. Let's just offer some strategies for overcoming some of these blocks. One that I really like, that I always have to remind myself of, and I find my clients are like, oh yeah, that's right, is the idea of being responsible for yourself. So this is the idea that there are, for every problem, there are contributions. You have your contribution to the problem, to the issues of the relationship, to your needs or wants not being met, and then they also have a contribution to it. So maybe it's the way they respond, maybe it's not asking, maybe they don't know to ask, but the idea is, what are you actually responsible for? And I really like this quote by Rumi. Who doesn't? I like Rumi, but it's, soul, if you want to learn secrets, your heart must forget about shame and dignity. You are God's lover, yet you worry what people are saying. And the reason why I'm saying that quote right now is that we have a lot of feedback from our past relationships about what we're good at, what we're not good at. We have feedback from our friends, saying what we're good at, what we're not good at, what we're responsible for, what we're not responsible for. We're listening a lot to what other people are saying without listening to ourselves. And that inner knowing is a great gauge for feeling like that you can have conviction and what you want to ask for, but also that you have control and responsibility to speak up for what's really at the heart of you. And he says, soul, if you want to learn secrets. So to really dive into the depths of emotion that we really crave for in a partner, and I'm guessing it's most of the stuff we really want is that kind of intimate connection. You have to be truthful with yourself and take responsibility for being the advocate for yourself. So no one can be an ambassador and say, hey, wait a second, Kristen, I think it'd be Kristen's best interest to have this as open as a possibility right now. You have to learn how to get over these feelings, to be convinced enough that you're worthy enough to be responsible for your own needs, whatever they are. So it could be, I need 10 minutes to cool off. Sorry, got really angry. Can't help it. I need to go be alone right now. Or, yeah, I didn't handle that in a good way. I was really triggered. Can I share more about that with you? Another way you can take responsibility for yourself. I'm not sure I understand what you mean or why you did that. Could you please let me know what your intentions are? And so instead of confusion, instead of shame about not understanding or not agreeing with something, you just engage in it and you take responsibility for your own needs, your own feelings. Elizabeth, do you have anything to add to that? No.
When you were talking about this, maybe I do have something to add about this. When I think obviously when you're in relationship, taking responsibility, those tools are great, but what do you do when you have ex-partners who you're not in contact with anymore? How do you continually take responsibility to move on to something and to open to something else? I remember doing an exercise right before I met my current partner, and I would visualize my old partners, and I would see them in front of me, and I would tell them, I render you capable, and I render myself capable, and I open to something else. And I felt like I can feel it now. I felt like it opened up something and helped me to own more of what I want going forward, but also helped me to kind of release past baggage. Yeah. Taking responsibility, it's a big one, and yeah.
I love that. I render myself capable, and I render you capable to open to a new way. Yeah.
What was the last part?
I would say I render you capable, and I render myself capable as I open into something new.
As I open into something new. Great.
That was your part. I recognize my part. Great.
Yeah. I feel like we should put that in the Facebook group. It's a really good one.
That was really good.
So the second solution and strategy is communicating with respect. And this goes two ways again. One is respect for yourself and your own needs. That could be emotional needs, that can be physical needs, that can be spiritual space needs, self-interested days, but it's also your partner's. And communication, I want to talk about it in a very direct way. So there are people that have spent I don't know, years figuring this stuff out. And I think the basics of nonviolent communication is a really useful strategy in talking with your partners, especially when it's heated. It's a heated conversation. There's a site that they have, CNVC, for Center for Nonviolent Communication.org. And what I remember most about this training, and it's so much more, it has so much more depth than I'm going to give it here, but I remember the power of using of saying I and me instead of using the word you, because you becomes blame. And it's also a strategy of listening deeply for what's being said in words and what's being said behind the words as well. Do you have experience in nonviolent communication where you could expand on for me? I probably should do a brush up training if I'm going to be offering that kind of advice.
Yeah.
But I remember it being so powerful.
Yeah.
Also, there's something called Difficult Conversations. There's a book, and there's a second book to it too. I think the Penguin Publishing House put it out. And the gist of that is the way you can communicate is that you say, my intention when blah, blah, blah happened was blank. And when you reacted with blank, I felt blank. What was your intention? And so then you open up a different quality of conversation by making it about what happened instead of making it about the blame thing again. So does that make sense? Are there any questions about those two styles of communicating? Basically what it boils down to is inviting your partner to be a participant in the conversation, and asking and engaging him instead of telling and demanding him how he ought to be. So the type of men that all of us are interested in manifesting and keeping in our lives are not going to be man slaves, right?
They want to engage.
Yeah, they want to have a depth of experience. They want to have emotionally intelligent conversations. Even if they don't feel things as intensely as you, they want you to be able to feel free to express it. But with respect to them, like, you need to give them space to support you. If you're going to accuse them and belittle them, that's not going to work. And the way you accuse and belittle them is often through blame. It's often through telling them how they ought to be, giving them a laundry list of things. That's one of my bad flaws. I keep laundry lists without even wanting to. There's the laundry list. It's stacked up and I'm finally had it all. And also that brings to the point to communicating, having opportunities to communicate about feelings before it boils up to the surface. So yeah.
Yeah.
Do I do the next one?
Yeah. Solution number 3, honest, vulnerable, and a strong woman community. So friends, community, like-minded individuals that you can communicate and express with. And also, if you're not on the Facebook community group, We just created it this Monday. And yeah, it's a space. I think that just having the honest, vulnerable um, community and friend base, and being able to voice yourself and practicing voicing yourself in these communities, in these safe containers, it's all the shame can just dissipate, because you start to realize, like we had said before, my wounds are your wounds, my insecurities are your insecurities, and you start to feel nurtured, and you start to practice using your voice, and it becomes easier and easier. And I think we've said it before, it's like a muscle you start to practice, and you receive support.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wanted to add about that,
I
Kristen?
think it's about, this is the contrast to that what I called the girlfriend syndrome thing, and having the quality of an honest conversation and taking responsibility for your own flaws is hugely empowering, because when you recognize those little things that keep lurking at you, they go away. Usually they become much smaller. They don't have to live inside of you as this dishonest or unincorporated thing, and then you can move through it, because you can honestly feel the empathy of the group, and you can feel the love that comes through by just being seen. There's something really powerful about being seen for who you really are.
Yeah.
And
lack of judgment.
Yeah, and lack of judgment. It's huge. Like, oh yeah.
The judgment of your own self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brene Brown, she had the really good quote that I found. If we can share our story with someone who responds with empathy and understanding, shame can't survive. And I think that's from her second book, Daring Greatly, How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead. And I've experienced that too. I remember when I first joined a women's group, I grew up with my dad because my mom wasn't there, and so I was as a survival mechanism, I would always try to be more masculine in my thing, and judgmental about women things that they do. And when the first time I joined a women's group, I had a very hard time softening, relaxing, talking, relating, all that kind of stuff. And eventually I was like, oh wow, this is much more comfortable. I'm like, I feel more present and authentic with myself, and I started being able to share better. I started to be able to be more generous in my life. So the more that I shared, the more it opened up other people, and the more I heard them open up, I felt more possibilities within myself in all my areas of life. So really do yourself a favor and engage in a community, whether it's our Facebook group or a group of your own girlfriends. Just be really powerful in that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that it's just, you wouldn't think that a Facebook group holds so much power, but you could almost get into the group and you write and you're going to press enter to share, and you're a bit like, but I'm naked. Like, you really are practicing being vulnerable. Yeah. So
Yeah.
don't underestimate the power of a Facebook group.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
There's a group on Facebook, if you're not in it, it's called Vag Talk.
Uh-huh.
And there's no other Facebook group that I ever felt that free in. And it's amazing. There's like, probably by now, there's got to be like 30,000 people. I mean,
wow.
When I started in it, it was like around 10. but reading the information that people post, it's mostly like medical. Well, it encompasses quite a bit, but it's literally like you can say anything, and it's amazing. So I feel like that's really helped with just releasing, because it's if you're holding on to shame, it's like that's not the group to have it in, because you can literally ask anything.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think thank you for sharing that. And I think I just to go off of what something else Elizabeth said, she said being vulnerable is really important. And I think I find that when you're vulnerable, you have to make yourself available. Like if you're in a fight or flight instinct, you don't have space to be vulnerable. It's like, this is definitely like, okay, we are safe enough right now to allow ourselves to feel vulnerable. And that gets you out of that chatter that your reptilian brain would have you in. So yeah, the vulnerability is huge. It gets you into your human potential, really.
Yeah.
Should we go to the last one?
Yeah. Clear vision. So I wanted to share this story about my visioning process over the years. And
I'm sorry, doctor, I didn't hear the first part that you said.
yeah, so the last solution would be having a clear vision, right? So how we had said in the past, the lists of having a vision of a checklist, this, that, and on the soul level, we need something more. As the sirens go, the sirens are like, yes, we need something more. But I journal a lot, and I remember writing a list of my next person, and I was in New York, and I was doing a lot of spiritual work, and I think I was like going to Kundalini every day, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna meet my like Kundalini awakening man. And I even had on my checklist meditates daily. And I meet someone who's had a meditation practice since like the age of 5, and I was like, I bypassed everything else, and I'm like, it's a check on my list. This is a good person because he meditates every day. That relationship did not go well. He had various other practices besides meditation. And I remember looking at my lists and almost like, okay, what's missing? I don't know. And I even had, how do I want to feel in the relationship? I incorporated that as well. So it was a bit, I had my checklist of things I wanted in a man, and I also had a checklist of how I wanted to feel. And recently, I'm now in partnership with a man, and it's going beautifully, and it's a healthy, thriving relationship, and it's so healthy, it's like foreign. My body's like, it reacts like constantly because it's a foreign object. Is this real? But I had made I make manifestation boxes, and I was looking at everything that I was manifesting right around the time I met my current partner. And I was telling Kristen earlier that I maybe had 20 Post-its in this box, and only one of them was about my partner, and 19 of them were about me. I am empowered. I am beautiful and thriving. It had nothing to do about him making me feel any way. It was just all about me and the woman I wanted to be,
Mm-hmm.
unattached to anything that I was going to call in. It was the woman I've always dreamed of being.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, feeling that every day, looking at all those mantra and those visions of myself, I pulled in my other half, someone who amplified everything that I was manifesting within myself. So clear vision, I think is mostly about you and how you want to feel, and self-love, and looking at it daily and embodying it, and opening up to those feelings, getting it in your cellular memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at that time, I used a manifestation box. You can also, some people like to create vision boards for their partners or journal more. So finding what works for you to have your clearest vision is key. Your
Mine
language.
is my chakra.
Your what?
My chakra.
Chakra?
Chakra.
Chakra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's really helped me figure out a lot, and also let go a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think if we're talking about law of attraction, which is basically who became my future husband basically fell out of the sky for all I'm concerned. But the way that law of attraction works, that I find, is it's really about your personal beacon, and the more you can connect in with the essence of who you really are, how you want to feel, and all those things Elizabeth talked about, is like, this is who I really am. And then you just have this like little opening, and then I have a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
This is I think the best way to attract someone who really is a compliment. And then once you're in the relationship too, I still use it like, okay, like I would like my relationship to look more like this. And often I meditate and I'm like, oh, it's me. I need to make more time for my partner. I need to do all these. And then I go back to a similar feeling to Elizabeth, where I'm saying, this is who I want to be in partnership. This is how I want to feel. This is how I want us to be going out in the world and making a positive influence with our love. And then whenever I make these big shifts within myself, like, he just changes magically. He sees that change in me, and he also feels like he can step up too, because I've stepped up. So give yourself, there's no need to feel shame in asking for what you want and being who you want to be, because you're going to have a partner who can have the same kind of intelligence and recognition. They can grow with you when you ask for what you really want, when you are who you really want. And I think this is probably the most powerful thing, is like, be the example of who you want to be. And then they can show up too and be who they want to be in relationship too. Because I'm sure want to be like, yeah, I give my love everything she needs. She feels loved. She feels comforted. She feels safe. She feels powerful. And that makes him feel the same way.
Yeah.
Okay, so of these, what we just talked about, when you look at your little mini list you've made here about your primary, your loudest block right now, and see what strategy you think might alleviate some of that pressure. So we had the responsibility to yourself, the communication, the women community, and the vision, which was really about being who you are, who you want to be in relationship.
Do you want us to speak to that? Or just
If you want to, sure, you do a little share.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I always like number one, being responsible for yourself. I've seen that from way back, focus on the self. You can't change anybody else anyway. And when you start looking to see how you could have affected what's gone on, it really opens up a different perspective than you might have had otherwise. And so, of course, that's got to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then, thusly, communication is just it's always big for me. So I need to speak my voice, definitely.
Yeah. So you chose unclear vision, right?
Uh-huh.
So what can you have responsibility for in making a clearer vision?
Well, they actually go hand in hand. I mean, or what you were just saying about be the example. I need to take responsibility to be absolutely who I want to be. I see things getting a little off. And, I have seen them, and I know all along that I don't have to go along with these other plans or actions, and I can just stand back and claim myself and what's good for me. I'm quite well aware of that, and
Mm-hmm.
stepping out, wanting to also give. It's a combination. I want to give him space to have that mean something to him, so I have to learn maybe to understand it more, but not to the degree perhaps, or I have to find some other way to balance it if that's the case.
Okay. So if you were to do like one or two simple things within the next week that you can take responsibility for and just being the example, like what might you do?
Already just start. Well, the first thing I need to do is we need to have some communication, and I just need to start taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's it right there.
Okay. So you're gonna set up a time to talk with him in the next week?
Yeah.
Great. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good. Yeah. Shannon, how are you doing? You look very pensive.
Because I'm trying to figure out this last part. I guess being responsible also.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like communication's not so much of an issue for me. I'm pretty good about that. But I think that there's certain things that I could definitely. It's more of like, it's one thing when you recognize something versus actually stepping into it and integrating it. And I think that tends to be a thing for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's one thing to be like, really like self-aware or hyper-aware.
Mm-hmm.
But then what do you do with it, right? It's
Yeah.
like you have to then I can sit here and know all of my things, but it doesn't mean that I'm actually working towards changing them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's more about moving out of awareness into practice. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing for me right now.
That's awesome. So if you were to start practicing some qualities that you want to do that, like what would that do for you?
Um,
What might that do for you?
I think that if I can approach some of the things that I need to shift into more fun things, like, okay, look at it, change my perspective and make it more like, oh, this is like ritual and I'm excited about moving through this instead of avoiding that because I just
Yeah.
can't deal with that right now. So I think it's going to be more of like me taking responsibilities, shifting the dial a little bit on how I'm seeing the stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and psyching myself, self out, instead of psyching myself out, getting excited about, okay, let's move through this, instead of I'm going to keep ignoring that, and instead of taking care of it, put Netflix on. Like, I think that's going to be is like getting out of like kind of this avoidance place that I've been in. So I think that would be big for me
Mm-hmm.
of like the taking responsibility.
Yeah. And then so if you were to have that little shift and take your responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
what might happen in your life or in your relationships that might be different? What could that look like if you had a fun approach to it?
I think that um, that would, I think by doing that will help to shift my outward vibration
Mm-hmm.
enough to draw people in, because I think that some of the stuff is being too guarded and unapproachable. I think people think that I'm unapproachable, even though I don't see myself that way, but I think that other people do.
Mm.
So I think that by shifting that vibration of having more fun draws in more happiness, that outward vibration will be different. So I think stepping out of avoidance a little bit and then shifting my perspective on stuff will make that change that I need.
Yay. That would feel great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Instead of the worry, right, of like, I know I need to do this, but I won't do it.
Yeah.
Getting out of that loop. I think that's just where I'm at.
Yeah. Great. Elizabeth, do you have anything you want to add before we move on?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Like,
Great. So we just wanted to take a little pause here in our webinar and let you guys know that we're going to be doing a group coaching program. So the idea is that we can dive into subjects like this deeper, but also really work more in a trajectory of getting you to find and keep true love. So this is called Spiritual Woman's Guide to Love, Discover True Love. And we hope that by the end of it, your self-image and your confidence would be better, that your interactions with men would feel more natural, that like just like we talked about today, like you don't have to feel shame about what you asked for, that you would have better boundaries. So just because you're available doesn't mean you're a pushover. And really also working on being able to receive the quality and quantity of love that you really desire, because we can say we want it, but then it could actually be more difficult to receive it. Like, oh my God, it's here. So we're really excited about it. It's going to be happening over 10 weeks, beginning in late August, end of September. Right now, we're thinking it's going to start around September 6th, but that's being finalized, and it's going to happen every other week. So that's 5 calls, about 2 hours each at this time, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. And you're going to have, it's just going to be awesome. So do you guys want to hear more about it?
Yeah.
Great. So basically there are 5 different modules, and they could look something like this. So one could be loving yourself. And this is really about creating a vision for what self-love looks like. So we could say, yeah, I love myself and I appreciate myself, but then the self-care routine may not match it, or the self-care routine may be too shallow for what the depth that you really need to take care of yourself. So that's something we're interested in talking about, as well as the self-critics, how they manifest and how they sabotage you. So by the end of that module or week, we could really have an action plan to love yourself more every day. And that will be really fun to share in our group too, because we'll get lots of good ideas. The second one is about relating honestly. So here it's about identifying when you feel the need to fib or lie, as well as learning how to feel safe and comfortable, even if you feel vulnerable. So relating honestly, it really takes, it's kind of a radical idea, because when you're in it, you can feel like you can lose everything. But when you just stick in it and you're in the awkward and you're breathing like heavier, you really can get through the speed bumps, and your relationship just starts flying after that. So we really think there's a lot of value in that. And especially even if you're just starting to date somebody, relating honestly about your own needs and your own desires can really take your relationship from 0 to 60 really quickly, and also just, weed out the people that are not going to fit that radical love you want as much. Another module we could be talking about is what grown-up men want. So I think that all of us have been in a situation where we are mothering more than we're being partners. And of course, part of that's our own choice, but also it's also a man's choice to just let himself be mothered. So we'll talk about what the grown-up men want, and actually you're going to find out we're going to give you a little secret here. It has to do with you being yourself. And when you're more yourself, you come off as more confident, you come off as more desirable, and you allow your space to be in the space of sensuality instead of just sexualities too. So you're going to feel really powerful after that one. Be like, oh my God, I have everything I need. Another one is when things don't go your way. So to be honest, like, there are going to be hard times. That's what relationships are here, is to help us grow and in more powerful ways than we can do alone. So we'll identify some of the common riffs, how to work with them, how to trust your intuition, and we'll probably go through what I call my ultimate love checklist. So like, the relationship is serving you if ... And then Elizabeth has some amazing relationship practices she's been doing to assimilate her body into receiving true love. It's true. And the last one that we're probably going to offer, well, we're going to definitely do this, is a right to manifest your man. So whether he's here, whether he's still coming, we want to make sure that all volumes are full blast about who it is that you are and who it is that your complement is. We have a great process we lead women through, and it's just a really powerful thing just to feel and sense him. Oh my God, it's like, oh my God, he's here. I love, this is one of my favorite things to do, because sometimes I actually get visuals of the men coming in. I'm like, wow, he's really handsome. Or like, wow, he's so powerful. Like, I never would have thought she would be like, it's like really cool to have that. So I'm guessing everyone here is ready for that kind of love, to live authentically and to really have to be able to be more yourself with a partner. Am I right with that? Yeah, there's smiles and nods. So later on this summer, we're going to be asking our full price for that. It's going to be $12.97 for full pay or $4.97 for 3 months. But don't worry, we're going to give you a special offer. I just wanted to, before I go into that, do you guys have any questions about what this is, what we're doing? Any worries?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. So if you have any worries or concerns, Elizabeth and I are both available, but wanted to also be really generous because that's the flow that we love. So at the end of this coaching, group coaching, you're going to get a free hour with me. And then you're also going to get an introduction package with Elizabeth, which includes a system body review and initial treatment. If you already work with Elizabeth, she has something else she'll give you. Right? That's what you said last time. And then you're gonna have access to all of our webinars. Not all of our webinars are gonna be free like this. We're gonna do some paid ones over the summer too. So you get access to all of them through December of this year. And then you also will have a free ticket for yourself. This is really a good one. Like, I can't believe we're actually giving this one away. But for yourself and a friend to come to our next Women's Weekend event, which is a 2.5-day event. And we did it, I think it was about a month ago now.
No, maybe 2.5 weeks ago.
No, it feels like a month. Really? It's only 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so powerful. I couldn't believe
It was beautiful.
it was like them coming out of their cocoon.
Yeah.
It was amazing to have that kind of intense but flowing, beautiful scenery type of thing. So anyways, you're gonna love that. All in all, so if I did the whole like addition math thing, there's the group coaching valued at $12.97. There's the free session with me valued at $197. There's Elizabeth's intro package, which on your site says $225. Is that right, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then all the webinars and training, probably about 150 through the summer. I'm not sure what it's going to look like at the end of the year. The Women's Weekend is a $697 value. So all of that's worth a little over $2,500. And we're going to give this to you guys. Oh my God, it's good. $997 for the whole thing, or $397 for 3 months. So we're going to keep this pricing for you. I think we said Friday. So Friday, 6 p.m., same time. We don't like to pressure you into making decisions. So sit with it, feel it. It's going to be really powerful. You'll have a community. You'll get hot seat coaching with us. You just have to let us know you want to talk to us. And then it's just going to be really powerful. So are there any excitements or questions about the coaching?
Sounds really good.
Yeah, sounds great. I think you explained it really well.
Oh, thanks.
The modules.
Okay, so the way that you'd sign up is I'm going to put this in the chat box here. There's a site, it's my site, Kristen.today, KRISTEN.TODAY, and then it's /discover-true-love. And so it's Kristen.today/discover-true-love. And at the bottom of it, you'll see the link to sign up. I made the website to be the price that we talked about, so you won't get confused about anything. I'm going to change it again on after Friday, so Saturday. And the link right now, I had a little technical glitch. It's just going to go directly to PayPal me. So what you want to do is you want to put $9.97 in if you want to do the full pay. And if you want to do the 3 installments, $3.97, you can put $3.97 in. And then on the first of the month, I would so beginning August 1st, I would bill you the second installment. Then the last installment would be September 1st. And then you're golden. You get all that goodness. Yeah.
Good.
So, going back to what we talked about today, I thought it would be great to just end in a visualization and meditation. So you have this this idea. Just keep in mind here this challenge you want to work through, and some of the solutions you want to that you want to use to get through this and have a breakthrough. So put your feet in the ground. Start to feel your feet relax. Your body relaxed, your breath open, free, ever more so as we continue. And as your feet relax as if they're in sand being molded by the ground beneath you, let your mind's eye just travel like roots through your feet into the ground below you, through all the different layers of the crust, the grasses, the dirt, the deep soil, and then the mantle of the earth, all that heat, that fire, until you go so deep you're at the core, you're grounded the very foundation of our earth. Let this positive, fiery energy just move up again through the earth in your mind's eye and start to enter your feet. Let it enter in your ankles and your shins, your calves, your knees, your thighs. Let it broaden and expand into your low belly. Feeling the sweetness of life, the pleasures of it, moving through you and up to your lower rib cage, your solar plexuses, the front of your body, the back of your body, finding an equilibrium, like a flow of water, just moving back and forth until you find your center. Move this energy up more to the level of your heart, allowing your breath, your sense of expansion to move and to open. In the front of your body and the back of your body, the center of it through your lungs and heart, through your arms, fingers. Move the energy up through your throat. Letting it be open. We go up through your jaw. Circulate around your head, your sinuses, your brain. Let this energy just to keep expanding out through your head, this flow, this never-ending flow from your feet through your body, out through your head, and just keep expanding. Opening yourself up. to a higher awareness, to your intuition. And without judgment, and look down at yourself and see in your bodies, your physical body and your emotional body, where you hold the challenge you identified today. And without thinking too much, just allow this ball of energy, this tension to start to loosen up by some of the strategies we talked about today, such as responsibility. See how that opens it. Communication. Community. And strong vision of yourself. Whatever other solutions, pathways out of this pattern of shame, let them be revealed to you. Let yourself start releasing this old pattern, especially from the energy around your low belly and your navel, below your navel. Start releasing that shame, those patterns, the worry, and let yourself be filled again with the new space, the new energies from your core, from your being, supported by the earth, supported by the universe. Elizabeth, do you want to invite any other energies?
I want to just, I'm feeling for the tailbone, the pelvic floor to relax. And the tailbone can hold a lot of shame, can tuck under, so almost imagining a peacock opening up those beautiful feathers, allowing to be seen, to be free, to be beautiful. And allowing that energy to open up the neck. Letting go of anything you've taken personal, anything you've taken on. And feeling like the feathers are just releasing the rest of the body. Great.
Let's make a commitment to yourself right now that you're worthy of, and you're courageous and you're strong enough to make these changes that can bring you even more joy and love and appreciation for yourself and with another person. In our beautiful peacock rainbow body. Okay, so let's come back, and I would love to hear some of the biggest takeaways and things you really value from today's call.
For me, even though clear vision wasn't something that I think I have a pretty good clear vision, but having this call really put like a lot of things in place for me. So I really feel like my clear vision has been strengthened.
Great. Congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
For me, it's just very concisely put together the things that are going on for me really right now, and that come up a lot. So it seems there's a great deal of clarity and applicability to what's going on here.
Great.
Yeah.
And for you, did you, like, what are you taking for yourself? Like, what do you feel excited about, or what do you feel nervous about?
I think I have to have a talk, dive and seeing. And I, initially I was like, that's it, I'm breaking up with him. And I had a friend that I spoke to who kind of helped me see it along those lines, and see that he wasn't good, but something in me just couldn't come to that. And I've had to take the space, which, I didn't know how to articulate. I just didn't answer his phone calls and such. And I think, I was meant to have, your reporting of your story with Anthony was just so similar to feeling, because I feel, for the first time that this is something a bit more than I've had. And I'd hate to lose that. I want to keep thinking that things continually get better and I'm just learning. But come on, like maybe by the time I'm 95, it's all going to really fall into place. Maybe, I don't know. And giving everybody a chance. I feel anyways, not to get too wordy, but there's a sweetness and an intention that I know in part that he's waiting for me to help him feel strong enough to see it. I know that he's looking at me at that part, and the lesson that I'm learning from him is I've really seen it all along. So it gave me more strength to try to work something out. Thanks.
Awesome. That's incredible.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. You can feel good about that.
So many levels,
Yeah. You can feel nervous, but knowing that you're trusting yourself and that he is also yearning this is a huge gift that can get you through all the awkwardness. Yeah.
So thanks.
Awesome. Well, if there's any questions or concerns or celebrations, this is your moment. Otherwise, we're getting ready to wrap up.
Yeah. Think of anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Go ahead, Elizabeth. What were you going to say?
Yeah, so thank you, everyone, for your openness and your shares. And I feel like we did some really good, deep work today. So it was rewarding to watch. You guys even look different.
Yeah. And two, I just really, again, I started off the call saying you really should give yourselves credit and love for showing up today and wanting to work on yourselves. And again, I just want to remind you of that, like who the incredible people you are. And when you say yes to you, you say yes to so many other things in your life. So you're on the path, you're going to find it, and you're going to keep it. Your true love for yourself and with another person. So with that, I will leave you for tonight, and we'll be in touch on the Facebook group, and we'll have another one of these coming up in a couple weeks. So
Bye, everyone.
bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.